It's a shame that so many other political leaders are too gutless to follow the same principle, desperate not to lose votes to the radical left. I strongly encourage other Australians to do the same. Stop being walked over and stand up for your home. Being an elder doesn't obligate my respect. Respect is earned, not given away to racial exceptionalism. Being Aboriginal does not make someone exceptional. Being an Australian is what makes you exceptional. Welcome to country are just racial antagonism disguised as reconciliation imposed on children before they even get to school, and in school, placing their hands on the ground is indoctrination.
All right, buckle up, because this one kicks the door open with steel-cap boots and a raised eyebrow. Picture the Senate chamber, calm on the surface, but underneath it's bubbling like a cheap meat pie left in the sun. Along comes Pauline Hanson, microphone on, posture straight, delivering lines with the subtlety of a magpie swooping a cyclist. Before anyone can say order, she's off, and suddenly the nation's favourite recurring debate is back again, like a rerun you didn't ask for, but somehow can't stop watching. Real quick before we roll the footage, if you're enjoying this content, do me a huge favour, hit that like button and smash subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. Don't be one of them, it's free for you and it helps us out more than you know. Already clicked? You're awesome. Let's get into the video.
This divisive welcome to country nonsense has been allowed to fester for far too long. Brisbane footy fans were left scratching their heads on Saturday after they were told welcomes to country had been performed for 250,000 years and weren't invented but to cater to white people. If they're not to cater to white people, then why are white people constantly subjected to them? These welcomes are based on lies, that Australia is not our home. So many people tell me they are just over it. Welcome to country are just racial antagonism disguised as reconciliation imposed on children before they even get to school, and in school, placing their hands on the ground is indoctrination. Australia is home to all Australians, and we don't need or want to be welcomed to our own home. We have shed blood, sweat and tears to build our home and defend our home. We have as much right to live in our home as anyone else. If you hand over my home to someone else, I have nothing to fight for. If you hand over Australia, I will not defend it, and neither will my children. Being an elder doesn't obligate my respect. Respect is earned, not given away to racial exceptionalism. Being Aboriginal does not make someone exceptional. Being an Australian is what makes you exceptional. That's the identity we all share. In this spirit, I stand and turn my back on welcome to country here in Parliament and out in public. It's a shame that so many other political leaders are too gutless to follow the same principle, desperate not to lose votes to the radical left. I strongly encourage other Australians to do the same. Stop being walked over and stand up for your home.
Thank you, Senator.
She opens with the kind of energy that says, I've been waiting all week for this, and straight away she's talking about welcome to country. Not gently, not diplomatically, more like someone pointing at the TV and saying, now hang on a second, mate. She's relaying stories from Brisbane footy fans who went to watch a game, not sign up for a philosophy lecture, and walked away wondering how a sausage roll and a scoreboard somehow turned into a 250,000-year history lesson. You can almost hear the crowd. I just wanted to yell at the umpire, not question the nature of time itself. Then comes the rhetorical turn, the kind Pauline does best. If these welcomes aren't for white people, she asks, why do white people seem to be the main audience? It's not shouted, it's not screamed, it's delivered with that classic, I'm just asking questions here tone, the same one that makes senators on the other side of the chamber suddenly very interested in their notes. Somewhere in the distance, Penny Wong is sitting there with the facial expression of someone patiently counting to 10, reminding herself she's on camera. And speaking of Penny Wong, the parody practically writes itself. Penny's listening intently, nodding occasionally, the way you do when someone's talking for a long time and you're not sure whether to jump in or just let the weather pass. She's got that calm, measured look that says, I will respond to this with dignity, while the vibe in the room says, this is going to be clipped for YouTube within the hour. Meanwhile, Anthony Albanese isn't even in the room. He's not allowed to be technically, upper house rules and all that, but his absence somehow makes him even more present. He's like the ghost at the barbecue everyone keeps mentioning. Pauline throws a line out into the chamber, and you can almost imagine it floating down the corridor to where Albo might be, catching a whiff of it and thinking, ah yes, I'll be hearing about this later. Pauline keeps going, saying people tell her they're just over it. Not angry, not hateful, just exhausted. Over it in the same way you're over daylight saving arguments or the price of petrol. She frames welcome to country as something imposed, especially on kids before they even get a chance to decide what they think. She paints this picture of tiny hands being placed on the ground, and she's asking whether that's education or something closer to instruction without discussion. In parody form, you can almost see a confused 5-year-old thinking, I thought I was here to learn my ABCs, not reenact a Senate debate. The room shifts a bit at that point. Penny Wong straightens her papers. Somewhere a staffer quietly prays no one mentions the word indoctrination again. Pauline's not accusing anyone of malice. She's framing it as concern, as a question of balance. She insists Australia is home to all Australians, full stop. No footnotes, no asterisks. It's said with the certainty of someone who believes the barbecue belongs to everyone who brought a plate. Then comes the emotional core of it. Blood, sweat, tears, building, defending, belonging. It's classic political language, sure, but it lands because it's familiar. It's the same sentiment you hear from families whose grandparents arrived on boats, planes, or anywhere in between. The parody leans into that, exaggerating the seriousness just enough to make you smile without undercutting the point. This is where Penny Wong's expression shifts again, from patient to thoughtful, because even when you disagree, you recognise the appeal of shared identity. Pauline goes on about respect, and this is where the delivery matters. She's not saying respect doesn't exist. She's saying it isn't automatic. In parody, this becomes almost a life lesson segment. Respect isn't a gift card you get just for showing up. It's something you earn, like trust, like the last Tim Tam in the packet. Being Aboriginal doesn't make someone exceptional by default, she argues, just as being anything else doesn't. Being Australian in her framing is the shared threat, the common jumper everyone's wearing, even if the sleeves fit differently. At this point, the chamber feels like it's holding its breath. Penny Wong is still calm, still composed, but you can tell she's lining up a response in her head that will be careful, precise, and very, very measured. Albanese, still absent, is probably somewhere explaining to someone why this is a complex issue requiring nuance, preferably over a cup of tea. Then comes the dramatic flourish, turning it back on welcome to country, in Parliament, in public. It's theatrical, no doubt about it. The parody leans into the drama, without tipping into cruelty. It's less shock protest and more making a point with a gesture. She frames it as principle, not performance, and criticises other leaders for lacking the courage to do the same, suggesting they're worried about votes rather than values. The humour here is gentle, pointing out how every politician, regardless of party, suddenly becomes very cautious when elections are mentioned. By the end, she's encouraging Australians to stand up for what they believe is home, not angrily, not violently, just firmly. The parody closes by zooming out, reminding viewers that this is the Australian Senate at its most uniquely Australian. Blunt opinions, calm rebuttals, absent prime ministers who still somehow cop the heat, a country still figuring itself out loudly, awkwardly, and very publicly. And that's the joke, really. Not that anyone's evil or stupid, but that this is democracy, Aussie style, a place where Pauline Hanson can deliver a speech that rattles the room, Penny Wong can sit there absorbing it with composure, and Anthony Albanese can be talked about without even being there, where serious issues are debated with a mix of passion, frustration, and a dash of theatre. Love it or hate it, it's unmistakably Australian, and you wouldn't mistake it for politics anywhere else in the world.